Much, Mr. Ibnu China. It's my honor and pleasure to be a moderator at this conference international for now. Before I start the plenary session, let me announce the rule and time for the presentation. Today we have 7 main speakers and our time is limited. So I want to let you know that the presentation time is 15 minutes and our question from participant later at the end of the presentation after all main speakers delivered the presentation. I just want to say that the question from participant should be written in the chat room with following the format: name, institution, speaker, question. For example, Jeffrey, Hasanuddin University, Prof. J, and asking about branding. That's the example if you want to asking the question. And at the end of the panel session, if we have enough time, there is an opportunity to ask directly to the all keynote speaker. Okay, now ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first speaker, Prof. J. Rajasakera from Tokyo International University, Japan. Prof. J is currently Vice President, Dean of Graduate School of Business and Commerce, and Professor of Digital Business and Strategy at Tokyo International University. His previous positions include Vice President of Tokyo International University and Dean of its Business School, which became Japan's #1 school as ranked by Business Week during his tenure. He has co-authored 4 books and published more than 50 articles in academically ranked journals. His current research interests include optimization theory, digital analytics, digital economics, entrepreneurship, society 5.0, and sustainable development. And now, Prof. J will bring the topic, building the real economies using virtual digital means, the archipelago or not, new economy has no boundary. Prof. J, the time is yours.
Thank you so much, sir, Dr. Charles. Can everyone hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So it is my great pleasure to talk to you today from Tokyo International University of Japan. So I really appreciate, you and everybody and organizing this great session in this difficult time. And so it's a great opportunity, though, that a world community can participate in this kind of event in Sulawesi in Indonesia. So let me talk about my topic. So my topic is building real economy using the virtual economies. As you know, that the world is changing rapidly, and this coronavirus had speeded up that even more. So things are changing at rapid speed. And so how can we tap into these global changes? And so that is the key point in my talk. And also how can a country like Indonesia, which is a large country composed of archipelago, small islands and big islands, and how can you tap into the global economy? And so I start with a little bit historical things. And this is the telephone call from to the United States from Japan in 1984. And this shows up to 2006. You see it's going down. And how much we pay now? Almost free, So this is a big change that had happened over the years. And the things are free. Communication is free. That's why we can do this, online. I'm calling, now addressing you from Japan. And that is made possible by this vast change. So this had created global economies change to digital business and the digital economics. And the free internet created an expansion of the businesses. Let me change this one. Explosion of using IT in manufacturing and service industries, and start of so-called digital transformation, and the root goes to this. And so if you look up the what had happened in the look at the what had happened to the big companies in the world in 1990s. These were the big companies and most of them were United States based and mostly local. That's the highlight I want to give. These are local companies. If you look up now, the biggest companies, they are Google, Apple, Microsoft. They are global companies, entirely global. Their income come from not just one country, globally. So this is the key point that I like to highlight here for Indonesia and the archipelago kind of economy, because this is a historical transformation, and you just have to tap into it to develop. Okay, and this is a plant that I often show to people when I give speeches. This the largest the manufacturing plant in the world that time in 1928 when it completed. This is the Ford manufacturing facility. Okay, and so everything was made there. The entire, the tires, the steel, and everything was made there. But the world had changed, and if you go to a factory in Nagoya, you see like this, a few people working, and the manufacturing had changed because of the global supply chains. And if you look up Apple, for example, I found this in the Apple website, and it shows the Apple suppliers, and around the world, there are more suppliers, even though Apple says designed in California, is made in the world, and you see the big suppliers in Japan, China, and various Asian countries you see here, and including Indonesia. I found in their list the you know the 5 suppliers. In fact, in Indonesia, you have this Apple phone, and inside there are parts made in your country. And so this is the big change. So you have to tap into these big changes, and if you want to develop the countries. So these changes had developed something called app economy, I would say. And this had let me see, something's happened in my this had they created economies that benefit a lot of people, the ecosystem. Amazon, for example, $225 billion to stores who are selling in their Amazon store, $225 billion per year. Okay, these are the latest data I gather. Apple, 5 billion just for developers, the app developers. And how about Gojek and other companies you have in Indonesia? Get to that in a moment. And so this app economies, 2 things, key things. You need a good logistic network, logistic infrastructure, using the technologies and the network. So you need good logistic infrastructure to make these things happen, particularly in a country like Indonesia. It's very important. And then the e-commerce. Okay, so 2 things, key things that you can tap in. You can tap in any place in Sulawesi, any place in Indonesia, and tap into the global the value chains, I would say. And if you look up Amazon, the Amazon itself make big money. I didn't show it. They make, I don't know, maybe close to $1 trillion or so sales. They say will be approaching, and then a lot of other people, and they are riding on this wave, and so they are making that big money. I just mentioned more than $200 billion right now, and per year. And Apple itself, in fact, I just showed only the part for the app, but the other sales and other things, they are bigger than the biggest economies in the world. And this part we call, in technical terms, we call long tail. And this is where long tail. And in App Store, you have more than 2.5 million sellers. They are in here, and so they sell everything and local things. You can tap in from Indonesia, sell local things. There are people now buying things, anywhere in the world. They buy from any country. And this is in Indonesia. I know you know about the Gojek, and Gojek had this Go Food company and delivering food, and how many restaurants are they now tapping in, and so they are the long tail in here, long tail. So I will get into their numbers in a moment, but this is the situation. So you have to tap into this long tail and say nasi goreng or what satay, the kind of food, I by the way, I used to go to Indonesia often. Corona, kind of stopped me. It's, in fact, I was going to come, to the conference, Dr. Charles, the announced and organized in April. I couldn't come because this Corona, but I come there often, and I have good friends in Indonesia universities. So this Gojek can go for, and so I like to make a little comparison also, compared to what is Amazon and Apple, etc., and the valuation of Gojek. Okay, so that you can. So this is what is. So Amazon paid 225 billion, and how about Gojek? And if you look up all the drivers, the compensation, everything, Gojek paid 6.7 billion. Now, Amazon is in the United States, Apple is in the United States. They are big countries, but Indonesia is a big country too. Its economy is growing. So there's a long way to go in this particular story. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, so the Gojek may be a small company right now, maybe not as global. So they have to grow global. Okay, so that's where the growth come from, particularly for a country, like Indonesia. We have many large islands, and so you have to develop two things. You have to develop the logistic infrastructure, and you have to develop e-commerce by globally large companies. So let these companies grow. It's the road, when they let a free ride to Amazon, no taxes, for e-commerce goods, everything, and then and now they become a little bit maybe some percent out of control, but that's the way it's going. So the country as a whole, and maybe regions as a whole, they should let some big companies to develop, and then they carry the country, through this big company. So particularly, for Indonesia and the archipelago economy, and this is very important. And I think because of the time, I'm going to stop here. And if you have any questions and others, and I'd be pleased, to answer. Did I do okay in time, Dr. Charles?
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I think with that, I want to say thank you very much, and terima kasih. And so I have my email address and other things too here. And but anyway, so I like to thank everyone for this chance that I could talk to your global audience, and particularly to your the university and the audience from Japan. Thank you so much. Terima kasih.
Thank you.